right, a bit of a mess up there.
Interruption.
Yeah, 12 seconds. This will actually just get shirty. Right. Anybody there? People in? Just give us a wee minute, folks, and just sharing it out here. Share it yourselves if you can while you're at it. You know, was any of there that was watching me on Quincy's live on TikTok? Yeah, how about there? Hello, Elizabeth. Anyway, as well, no dubs. Hello, Brian. Hope you're okay. Monday. About the chimney corner, I think Quincy was telling me earlier was something that happened about the fence going up and contractors that were there. So let me see. I don't even know if you're on my page as moderator. Stephen, I don't think Sinn Féin's going to wake up. They're on their own path. They're on the left-handed path, mate. Legal in court. I'm not sure about that there. But no, and some of you as well have been on Quincy's live feed there. We're having a bit of a talk about, and you know what he was doing is there was people coming in and just talking general day trade, as I would call it, or John Toner would call it in the Sunday life. Apparently, I'm the one talking day trade, whatever. But here's the thing about me, folks, and there's people trying to call me out because I'm blocking them on TikTok or blocking them on Facebook. Well, if you want to come on to my platform and try and have some kind of articulated debate with me, you need to show who you are. Okay, if you have a fake account, fake picture, whatever it may be on any of your platforms, and you're coming on, you're trying to play a devil's advocate in my page, I'm just kicking you off. I'm not giving you freedom of speech. I'm just calling you, just fucking you off. Calling a spade a spade. Simple as that. You want to come on and be an idiot in my page, it's just the way you go. I've no time for that. There's bigger things going on in this country, and if you're not willing to address them matters, then that's on you. Gone. You're gone. He's all hiding behind fake accounts for. Yeah, Dubs. I know, but again, I was talking about Sinn Féin on live on TikTok. Hello, Kendo. Concerned parents need to know I had it on. I tagged you. Well, I'm not going to go in and look at it now. That's all right. But Monday, it's my notifications going all day. My WhatsApp goes all day, and you know, I just try to switch off from it most of the time. I will have a wee look though. But you know, it was just general chat here, folks, and you know, going forward and moving forward, and what I envisaged and where we're at. I mean, look at that rally that happened over in London. You know, the United Kingdom, Tommy Robinson's event, absolutely massive, and it didn't spring up overnight, folks. I mean, Tommy Robinson's been putting an awful lot of effort into organising what had happened there, and what I liked about it was he pulled a lot of, let's just say, normal people onto the stage, and big respects to that young girl who had went into a cultural day in her school wearing her flag's dress, or Union Jack dress, and she got put out of the school. But if any of you listen to that young girl's speeches when she was on that stage, to me it was phenomenal. It's what our children, we need to show all our children that that's who you need to be. That's who our children should be taught to be going forward. I mean, for me, over all the last 10 years, it's always been, this government's corrupt. This government's tyrannical. the last 5 years blatantly put that out there. So it has, it put us into lockdown, that I called martial law. Why 2020 when it was Agenda 21, 2030? Well, I don't know. Maybe they brought it forward because I was talking about it in 2017. But for me, 2020 was, well, it's perfect vision, isn't it? You go to an optician, they'll tell you, they'll do an eye check. Perfect vision, 2020. So to me, that there was always going to be sort of ritualistic or symbolic in some kind of way. I think there's more military Olympics going on in Wuhan this year, folks, in November. The last time that happened, you all know what happened. The military Olympics were held in Wuhan. The big invisible threat spread all around the world. The one that they locked us all up for. And coerced. Let's say over 60% of the population on the earth believe them anyway. Now, 100% Monty, she spoke well. Very confident wee girl again on that. Yeah, Foxy lad, hope you're all good. Hope you're all keeping good. But anyway, so here's my main focus, folks. It's on, I mentioned about the protest over in London, the United Kingdom one. And there was all kinds of that protests. There was white, black, yellow, whatever other colours they want to call them. Indians, Pakistanis, some call themselves British, and they all united under the one, let's say, calling. Because the calling is now is we all need to stand up for our God-given rights, and freedom of speech being the main one. And if someone wants to get offended, listen, I've always lived the morals of sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never harm me. And it's always been that way. Yeah, some hurty words can be upsetting, but really, are we going to react in such a way that you're going to persecute your own friends, your own family members? The whole rhetoric of the racist, thuggish behaviours and that are sort of being pushed out by mainstream media are, let's say, to me, I would call them just a programming mechanism. When you have Stephen Nolan on there and he's doing a show and has to use the word racist 200 times and the word thug 170, this is how the programming works. And what he's actually doing there is all the people that are on the fence and don't really know, he's convincing them that racism exists. And it's not, it's the racism doesn't exist. They're bringing it forward. If you ask me, this government on their puppet masters, the WEF or fucking Fabian Society, whoever's pulling their strings, they're the ones that's doing all this, and our politicians are just scapegoats. Are they really stupid enough to be doing this for people that don't know, people that never met? Maybe. There's a chance, isn't there? Good to see us all coming in. Hello, Callie, Dot. Good to see you. Good to see us all coming in. So, folks, in the news are my extended family. Everyone, what I've done is I've switched over on YouTube to do live videos, and that way I can it's easier to share the videos all across all the platforms, apart from TikTok. What I'll be doing is I will be uploading individual videos on TikTok to go. Or maybe I'll just keep uploading. Who knows? Who knows? But I took a break last week, folks, and what I've done was I dug my head down and just done a bit more research into myself. I needed some time to spend with the family and just be around my boys. I've got 4 boys, 17, 13, 2.5, and 12 weeks. Yeah. Sometimes I forget there's that many of them. So for me, I want my children to have a future. And the only way I believe that my children will have a future is if the Protestant and Catholic people put their bickering differences aside and unite under God. We are a godly nation. We need to remember this. And if you claim to be a Christian and a follower of Jesus, but you don't like someone because they're a Protestant, they're the same vice versa. You don't like a person because they're Catholic. Well, you're not a man of God. You're not a woman of God. Everything that I do going forward, I believe wholeheartedly is righteous. And righteousness has to come. Again, like I say, as Voltaire said. Voltaire said, with courage comes virtue. Without courage, there's no virtue. Our younger generations need to be taught the ways of courage again, not what we'll say disorderly behavior. going forward here, if we really want to be able to govern ourselves, we have to show that we are capable of it. We have to show that us as a people can come together, put our shit aside, and get on with what needs to be done. And the protests are just a catalyst towards that. And a lot of people were saying, well, the Catholics aren't joining them. Sure, look at Newry. Newry's making a stand. And fucking bravo to all the speakers that spoke that day, and Melissa in particular. Not only is it hard to speak in front of a crowd, but when you have a double crowd that is completely partitioned away, shouting derogatory nonsense towards you, it's even harder. I know that because I've had that too. Go back to 2020 in Corn Market. Back in Corn Market, when I stood in Corn Market and faced 50 of these Antifa Muppets. Muppets. I'm not going to come knock on the door because you use the word Muppets. Absolutely not. So again, freedom of speech. People getting arrested over in England and for calling somebody a Muppet. That police officer that arrested that kid was obviously an absolute hellion on a balloon. And if he gets that offended, he shouldn't be in a job. If you get offended by being called a Muppet, you should not be wearing that uniform. You do not serve the people. They're not worthy of those positions. So, let's see, what I was saying. Oh, that's me, fuck's sake. Yep, that's right, Callie. I try to do what I can do. I don't know it all. I don't have all the answers. All I can do is bring out the stuff that, I've drawn from within. I want to sit and have a yarn with myself, have a chat with myself. You're not crazy. You're talking to the divine there, folks. The kingdom is within. Jesus tells you that. We're here for the future. We're here for our women's and women, Christian values and common sense. That's it. And people talk about common law. Well, common law is common sense. No harm, injury, or loss. And if everybody knew this, maybe it would be a bit more of a understanding on how you can actually go in and represent yourself in these administrative courts. We have to stand together under Christianity. It's not about our own religions anymore. Well, listen, religion's religion. It's just a dogma. You have to believe in one thing or another. What we need to believe in now is that, we have within every single one of us to put our nonsense in the past and come together as one. This two-party system has kept us fighting and pitting at each other for 40 years, 50 years. Hello, Liam. How are you? Yeah. So, what's been happening recently, obviously, is all seen with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Yeah. Like the JFK assassination was our third gunman on the grassy knoll. Is there going to be an investigation into that and how the ins and outs of it? But to me, the Earth lost one of God's good ones. He sort of displayed and carried himself in a manner that showed everyone how he should be carrying himself. He spoke loudly about Jesus' teachings, and he also applied that into his talking and his debates. And he was good at mixing, and he had very good memory just to be able to pluck verses out into your head when answering certain questions and certain debates. Sometimes people are prepped for it, sometimes it's just there. Some people have just got it. What else has been happening? Protests on the 18th. Been given out for all different locations. The wee flyer that I was sitting looking at. Clockfern, roundabout, Newton Abbey. There's one in Newton Abbey. What? Ballyduff, New Mossley roundabout. Glengormley, Shore Road, Ainsworth, Bottom Newton Arch Road. There's Balls in the Falls. There's one being called there too. Listen, they're popping up all over the place. The flyers knocking about there. You just have to go and look for it. This is what I envisaged right at the very start again, as I started off the video, to talk about me personally, where I'm coming from, and people's coming out and trying to attack me. Although it doesn't bother me. Water have ducked back to me because it happened all during the COVID years. They called me a bigot. They called me a tout. They called me all kinds, But here I am, still here, speaking my truth. And when I say my truth, I mean my truth, because I can only relay the stuff that I've learned over the last 12 to 15 years. For me, it's an experience that I've experienced all over these years. I always attended protests to see how they went, got the environment, the feeling for it, got clacked with buttons by the police. Back in flag protests at the City Hall. There's a video of that on YouTube. You can just about make me out. So I always wanted to know how they were operating, who was doing them, and, why was there trouble happening at these protests? Because that was the thing that always, to me, was always going to take our main fundamental right, the right to stand up against a tyrannical, corrupt government, And it's been done before, and it's going to happen again. And this is why they're trying to treble down, not just double down on trying to deceive us from our rights, because they can't take our rights away from us. And I can only advocate for every single one of you to get to know your rights. That's their God-given rights. It gives us our backing, and we know how then to stand up against it. Corruption. These people were voted in, but you can't vote them out. That's not a free election at all, is it? Should we not be able to say, right, you're not doing the job, it's time to go? Like any one of us that worked under a private company or worked for some kind of big company, let's say Tesco's, you have to abide by their policies because you've signed in writing to contract under their regulations or rules, whatever they may have, but us as a people, when we go to that ballot box, they get you to sign an X. Not that I've never voted in my life, because I just don't believe in this corrupt system. And it's been like this all my life, folks. It stems right back in school and education. This one prick at the front of the classroom telling everybody what to do. I just never agreed with it. I wanted to join the army when I was 16. They sat me down and says, "Now, we're going to be strict with you. We're going to be disciplined here." I was like, fuck that. It is what it is. And then I went and started doing security. I have a bit of security background. Yeah, I was a security guard. A security guard in the HMV for 2.5 years, and then I got sacked for roughing up a couple of shoplifters. And then I went from there to Queen's University. But when I worked in Queen's University, I learned a lot under the, let's just say, professional men that worked above me. I was working with, what do you call them, the CID here, it was generals from the army. My security manager at the time was a boy. He was an ex-general from the army, had an MBE and all, so I was always raised around that environment. I was raised in church as a child, all my childhood years, up until it became about 13, 14, and just sort of stopped going to Sunday school. And yeah, it was just a general thing of growing up, but I never stopped believing in God. It was just always God for me. And who's that? Jumbo. Hi, N.I.disgruntled. Well, I'm doing a great job, but will the people really follow suit? Very small amounts so far, sadly. Well, listen, Rome wasn't built in a day, Jumbo. As I always say, neither was the earth. It took 7 days, 6 days to build the earth, remember? And then there was rest on the 7th. And even that's been completely screwed away. Sunday's not the day of rest. It's the Sunday, it's the sun. More conversation for that. Anyway, right now I want to focus on corruption in this tyrannical government. Not even so much. I haven't even spoke about it yet. I don't want to get going that way. The chumby corner. Where did he get that gun plus jump off that roof? Who knows? How did he get on that roof? Nobody's questioning how did he get on that roof. That's the place not supposed to be secure. There's a big rally being held there and some very important people present. How did he get onto the roof? That's what I want to know. No CCTV cameras. We're living in the era of Big Brother, folks. Don't forget. Even people are putting cameras on their doors. Everybody's front doors now getting a camera, and police just drive about in their wee car and just zap that footage out of your camera, or they'll knock your door. We're looking some footage here. You might have seen something dodgy, and then you become an informant, so to speak. So cameras are all over the place. CCTV. Go into Belfast City Centre. You can't walk around any corner without getting picked up. And if you can't, let me know, because it's a good spot to have a protest in the city centre. Hey, Kevin. No good. Hey, Lee. Who else is joining in? Right, so who's sitting in there not talking? Oh, there's the bro. What's happening there, Bob? You all good? Let me see. Who else? 404 not fine. Right. So that's a name. I thought it was a fault or an error. Yeah, so, what's happening? I was sort of saying, Listen, I don't get involved with the dramas that social media creates and does all that. I'm not being rude, I'm not being ignorant. And sometimes I do go on like comments and reply to some comments. It's just when I get a spare 5 minutes myself to do these things. Most times it's spent at the end of the night and I come in at 10 o'clock because I'm on curfew. Yeah, put me on curfew for putting flyers on a bus stop. Yeah, real bad behaviour, that, isn't it? So yeah, so the main sort of focus was at least being in at 10 o'clock. I was able to dig the head in and start researching again and doing what I call crash courses, crash course learning on certain topics. Hey, Marty, man, crash course topics on certain topics. What they mean by that? Well, somebody would drop something to me. You need to look into something. Like I'm going to tell you now, look into the Fabian Society. Right? After this video, of course, that if you just want to have a wee search, just get it up on your tab on your laptop or a tab on your phone. Do a crash course on it. What's a crash course? We 20-minute, 25-minute videos on that topic, 2 hours straight. Boom, 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 boom. And what happens is in each video, they talk about similar things. They're just explained differently, different narratives as to what the Fabian Society are. But same words, buzzwords will clock in here. And what I'm trying to do is trying to get you to focus on how to rewire your own brain. Okay? I mean, people say I can talk. It just keeps flowing out, coming out of the mouth. The reason for that there was for just rewiring the brain. When you're educating yourself, you're not just learning new skills, trades. Over all these years of research, and I've taught myself not how to be completely read it, but I can read, I can write, I'm good at maths. I'm a landscaper, landscape gardener, so I have to know my mathematics and measurements when I'm laying out building gardens. And it's like I always say to people, when I'm building a new patio, what do? I go in, I dig out the muck, put it in the skip, get rid of it, and I'll lay in a new foundation. And on that foundation, I will lay a path for people to walk on. And with me, I brought that sort of phrase with me into what I'm sort of doing here. So I basically just lay on a foundation. That foundation, I'm trying to get rid of muck. The muck's a bit sturdy, it's hard to dig, but we're starting on the foundations already, and that's what we see growing here and building it. Yeah, it's a civil rights movement. They're trying to take away our rights. We can call it protest and anti-immigration all they want, but when I'm standing up at Stormont and I'm talking about our Bill of Rights or the Magna Carta or these rights are inalienable rights, God-given rights. That's not anti-immigration. When I talk about the fighting AIDS dangerous males, they're not migrants. They're fighting AIDS dangerous males like fucking soldiers, armies, because they're coming from, more often than not, a Muslim country that has conscription, or a lot of them's coming from outside the EU. To say there's like 750,000 non-EU migrants living between Ireland and Northern Ireland. I'm not going to start spitting out stats and stuff, because sometimes I get mixed up. We're party. People from N.I. only vote for our parties. UKIP tried to come here and failed. Well, one thing I'll say about UKIP, Jumbo, if you have a look at Nick Tanconi, or he's just took up out by his horns and says, fuck it, let's go. I'm going to show these people how to move forward. And to be honest, it sort of gave me a bit of inspiration too, because I was always about the protests need to be going every week. If you could go one better than every week, protesting every day, that was always my vision and how we should move forward, rather than come back every 5-6 weeks. When you're protesting every 5-6 weeks, what you do is the protest is a step forward, and then you've got 1 week a step back, 2 week a step back, 3 week, and everybody loses the momentum. They loses the whole, let's say, atmosphere of what the protest is, and then it's gone. The next time they're like, shit. These things are consistent and they keep going. That's how you keep the motivation in the minds. You keep these things peaceful. People will start coming. And say, oh, say, if you build it, they will come. Well, what am I building here? I'm trying to build confidence in every single one of the people in this country, and the Republic of Ireland too. I'm confident. I'm a confident man. I always have been. But that doesn't mean that I have an ego. I'm a humble man. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. Someone wants to call me out for blocking them on the page. Yeah, it's because you're getting on like a twat. And you're hiding behind a fake picture. That's just who I am. I've no time for time wasters that just want to try and, let's say, dialogue with me into some kind of point where I can make a mistake or hiccup what I'm talking about, because it's not me. It's not what I do. The thoughts are here. The answers are already here. They're being fed to me from the Heavenly Father. Before I do a video, I just close the eyes, go into myself and embrace, sink in, ask for help. That's all you just have to do, folks. You want that confidence. You want to be able to talk. It's like I tell everyone, you need to go inside. You want to get up on that stage and talk, you need to go within. Be who you are. Remember who you are. Same applies to everyone. It's not hard to talk. Many people do it day in, day out. Some people even sit in their house and talk to their TVs. But they can't go out and talk to the people. You know, it's just the anxiety it sets in on people. You just blank it out. And there is things. It doesn't matter if there's 100 people or a million people. I'm still going to talk the way I talk. I'm still going to put out the information I'm going to put out. I'm still going to tell people there's a ruling class that is trying to fuck the world over. And yeah. Without getting into details, you can go into details. You know, there is plenty of details to put in there. But I mean, there's no point in me just sitting here telling you, right, it's this, it's that. You just need to research it. You just need to accept it yourselves. You know, don't take my word for it. Go and fact check, and I appreciate people that are able to correct me, because when I'm corrected, I will make a mistake. Yep, go back on it, hands up. We're all capable of mistakes. We're only human. Need actual advanced UK and candidates to stand for election once they become a political party. Right now, they're just a movement that will change. Well, Lady J, as I've always said, you know, any political party that's willing to put the people first and accept that the people have the power, I'm all for it. You know, back during the COVID thing, I mean, the whole COVID thing, to me, our main problem was the EU, because I knew that the EU was just going to grasp on this. I knew the British Empire was just going to hand us over to this whole United Ireland under an EU rulership. You know, fucking no. Let's get rid of the EU. You know, let's all us we nations here, all united as one nation under a new banner. You know, become independent nations. Just, you know, and that's not going into the arguments about the counties. Fuck the counties. You know, Ulster was 9 counties, 2,000-year-old history. Dates back to after Jesus died, you know. Or when the Roman calendar started. Stuck 13 months in, or 12 months. Cut it down to 12 months instead of 13. And people are the power. 100% there first. I've always said it. The people are the power. We the people have all the power, hold all the power. Once we all realise that, it becomes the fact. It's just hidden at the minute. Some facts remain hidden, but, you know, the truth shall always come, as they say. Massive change here. I can't see anyone stop voting for the DUP Sinn Féin. Well, it is possible. I mean, John Boy was telling people before the last election, we don't want to vote anybody, vote for TUV, because they're the only ones with firm stand against the protocol and the Windsor framework and everything. It was Article 6 or something that they were talking about, which was creating that invisible border in the sea. You know, look out there. Where's the Irish sea border? Over in the beach. It says to say to people. And then he's go down there and point out the Irish sea border. It's madness. And people are saying it's not. Well, it is. There are people in England that are getting charged extra money too. That's it. Hey! Getting charged, the dogs are running about there. Getting charged extra money to send birthday cards, Christmas cards, and the likes over to Northern Ireland. No, Northern Ireland. And that's not, make no mistake, folks. A lot of people died away back in this country was partitioned, and they put up that wee border around and called us Northern Ireland, you know, but it was always Ulster at heart. And Northern Ireland was just a name that was created as a corporation. You know, Belfast City Council used to be called Belfast Corporation. And what's a corporation? A corporation is just a fiction, isn't it? That's all a corporation is. Forage too, reform their corporation. Fuck, you come out and admits it. You know, they have lobbyers, people that lobby them, give them a few quid right away, you can start a party. Or, and I believe if you're English, you're going to be elected in the English Parliament. You should be English. The same here in Northern Ireland. Always remain. You need to be Northern Irish. Same down south. And stop being a Republican. Yeah, you know, because they just put in whoever they want. It doesn't matter if all you went and voted for Jerry Armstrong lived down the road. They're still going to put Martin Meehoe in. Why? Because he's a globalist. He's a puppet to the WEF, all the agendas, Agenda 21, 2030. You know? 1, 2, 3, 2 EV. Well, it's actually, Elaine, I don't know if you watched my live video. I was down at the City Hall On Saturday at 11 a.m. there was a vigil held for obviously Charlie Kirk's assassination, and what it was a lot of God-loving people came together in remembrance of Charlie Kirk, and they gave a bit of a speech. And I had a wee interview with Ron McDowell. Ron's a sound man. He's not afraid to speak up. And isn't it speaking my language? High five. High five. And not fully anti-politicians, I'd say, because you can say honestly, we had friends back in the day when Christopher Stalford was there. Some of the debates we would have had face to face. I was just always the political minded. All these political parties are all part and parcel to a hierarchy, a structure up above that's pulling their strings, and they're just the scapegoats. They're the ones that face our ridicule, our criticisms of their actions and the decisions they make without asking us, the people. We have to remember, folks, these people are supposed to be making their decisions based on us. Can any of you remember the last time there was a community meeting? When they're setting up these kind of things like a political party, shouldn't there be a monthly meeting with the communities and sitting down talking? Like they're talking about the N.I. health bill here. What do you think, folks? Get that out, right? For any of you that don't know, when the N.I. health bill came out, and people say I jumped on the bandwagon, but I just done what I do. I went and stood up at Stormont every morning for 6 days with the side of my work phone, because I'm self-employed. I do a bit of landscaping. The whole side of my van was covered in placards saying, you lied, people died, no to the N.I. health bill, no to medical tyranny. And I've done all that on my own, folks. There was a few people that came and stood with me. Respect to those people, but nobody else did. I was actually stood there at the gates and offered for people to come up and wanted to hand in their paperwork that I would be there with them and give them a hand. Gotta get going, Peter. Stay safe and vigilant. Good night, Brian. Cheers for coming in. And again, you've got the flags flying beside each other. And as I've been pointing, well, not that I've been pointing out, but one thing is I know, need to stop up with comments. For me going forward, there always had to be someone that was going to act on behalf of the people. And going back to talking about when you're setting up like a political party, there has to be a structure. There has to be a structure. If you want to represent the community or be a leader of your community, you have to show those people that you have those credentials. You have what it takes to be brave and courageous and stand up against these people that think they're going to browbeat you down. And me, all I've tried to do over the last 10 years is just sort of try to relay confidence on the people. Even though I say I'm a confident man, I have suffered what falls my depression at times. Depression comes and goes. Nobody can say they're always free from depression. Nobody can say they're always in depression. There's always a flicker of hope, always that glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. It always creates that spark. As I always say, when you've hit the bottom of the pit, the only way is up. But the only person that's going to drag you up off your ass and get you up to that top of that hole again is you. And it's the same that I'm playing to all the people. Most of you know what's going on here. Most of you know what's happening. And it's going to get worse before it gets better, folks. It has to. It's written, isn't it? But again, I'm trying to reiterate the confidence into you individually, in yourselves. You need to go within, because that strength comes from within. It's always been about you as an individual. When you try and put you all congregate you into a mortar and bricks and say you're doing better than everybody else. Again, to me it's always been wrong. People were going to church, same church every week, and it was the same one man standing up giving the same sermon every week. To me, that's just one perspective preach on the word. That's everybody's got free will to perceive things as they are able to, as long as they're culpable of thinking right-minded. The lefties think of the left man. And I would just it's strange because Christians on the right, so-called right, they don't believe in the right and left. These are just slogans, titles put upon us to divide everyone again. So everybody thinks they're right, everybody thinks they're left, and nobody can just actually sit and look at each other across, counter protest back and forward. We actually quite similar. The only difference is that, unfortunately, left-brained people are easier programmed. They're easier enraged. It's like they showed you in the Star Wars movies, the dark side, the dark side, and then there's the light side. You had Obi-Wan Kenobi running about, giving it all the light, all the answers. And then you had the Darth Maul, the dark side, and the main thing that Yoda would have always said to the young Padawans would have been, trauma leads to the dark side. Anger leads to the dark side. And it's like the BBC media have done for a long time with their propaganda. They've just constantly bombarded people with the atrocities that's going on over in Gaza. And the BBC have manipulated their videos. They do. The BBC's liars. We all know this. But what I'm trying to explain to the people here is that these videos are being used to make you angry. Okay? Specifically, they emphasize on an attack on a hospital. These innocent people have been killed, but nobody questions why there's innocent people there. I mean, it's no strangers that there's leaflets always dropped. It has to be done. It's the codes of practice of war. You have to notify the people before you do these things, which again goes down to universal credential laws that they have to live by. They have to tell us what they're doing. They've already told us there's going to be a pandemic too. They've told us. They told us there was a pandemic one coming too when they were doing drills for it. One thing I think is amazing, listen, it's for 36 minutes and I haven't even mentioned it, but here we go. It's time to talk about it. I keep coming back to these stats. 2021 to 2023. Northern Ireland's population increased 15%. And that's government stats. That's the N.I. stats. I believe it's a lot more than that, and I believe it's claiming relentlessly even more. I believe what was supposed to be a good economic net migrant raise has turned into a catastrophic net gross loss, and it's quadrupled, and it's going up every year because as long as they keep housing the illegals, it's just going to cost us more. It's going to cost the taxpayer money. It's going to cost them the government. That's money laundering, if you ask me. Money laundering. And what happens is the way to crash our economy, and it's just getting pushed down for CBDC, central bank and digital currency, is not their end game. Believe me, it's not their end game, but it's just one part of the structure of where they want us to be. They have us all fighting to save cash now. But even cash was fake. It's just a promise to pay the bearer. It tells you out on the note. If you go into a bank with a £20 note and ask them for a bit of gold, what gold? There is no gold. There is no gold. All that gold has been mined over the years. While they've been digging away at our rights and subverting us from our rights into secondary legislation and rules and policies. Yeah, it's a foundation of a community. That's it, Ulster, man. I mean, the church starts with the man himself. That's just how I see it. A small group of people that becomes a church out in the open in nature. It's supposed to be a natural event, occurrence, isn't it? In our COVID type Bible, is it not 2.0, 201? Event 201. Go and have a wee search at that. Event 201, yeah. Don't want to see that box. Yeah, Lady J, listen, I've been telling people for years, if you actually want to be able to be one of those people that can think logically and use reason when thinking about things and trying to decipher and discern what's right and what's wrong, yeah, that's what you need. Yeah, turn the TV off. I have to look at your comment again there to remember what I was saying. TV, I mean, is the tell, lie, vision. What it's actually doing is telling you a vision. That's why I call it television. They're actually telling you what it is. It's telling you a vision. It's telling you their vision. And I mean, the very confines and structure of how we live our lives has all came from television. Coronation Street, EastEnders. They showed us how to live. They showed us what their idea of a community was. Everything that's structured around us now and how exactly it is has all been planned to what it is. Belfast to be a smart city. Everybody gets crammed into a city centre, usually most often the capital, because it's the capitals that are going to expand out and start these smart cities. That's all ties into the central bank and digital currency too. And also, yeah, we'll have to talk about all the electromagnetic radiation that's all around us as well, as they tell us is safe. You know, the Wi-Fi boxes all around us, these cell towers all around us, the electrification of the very fabric of the Ruach, the breath of life. It's all around us, it's being tampered with. But the electromagnetic radiation is supposedly be safe, but there has been no safety studies really carried out and shown to people that live within the communities where they are putting these big monopoles. That's what you call them. A lot of people call them cell towers, they're called monopoles. Why they call them monopole? Because it's just a mono, it's on its own, goes up and spreads out its energy like an umbrella. These things should be used to give us free energy, folks. Wi-Fi should be giving us free energy, but nobody's going to make money out of that, are they? Secular music, yeah. Well, I think they took us away from our natural hertz. Was it 432 hertz, Schumann resonance, or something like that? No, they just banged us up to 440. What they've done is made music like that there instead of more of a subtle sound, because sound is energy, vibration, and all that. Do you think all the protests and even the United Kingdom one will make a difference? Genuine question. I actually do, SC. I do, because what is it doing? It's showing the world. And we're not just doing this in England, Scotland, Wales, Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, just because it's us. It's happening all across Europe. What we're trying to do is create something much bigger than just the United Kingdom. We're trying to reinvigorate the spirit of the Holy Father upon us here, the spirit of our Father. Because what has happened is we've all forgotten. We were raised in Christian values and ways. Sometimes I use the word virtues because virtue is the hierarchy of, what should be done. It's like a big game of chess. Yeah, well, that's why they have their checkered floors. City Hall, black, white, squares, all that. Fabian schools. I'll be brutally honest, I've not attended one yet, and I am thinking I will. Well, SC, listen, I'm telling you now, you've got every right to attend one of these peaceful gatherings or protests, however they're going to be called. And I say peaceful, it's both sides are coming to these protests, folks. Everybody knows to me that I'm advocating for both sides need to come together here. I don't advocate or call myself, I'm a big cross community man here. I am solely trying to unite the people here because it's a big task. And listen, I believe I've got the capabilities to do it. I believe that am able to talk to people in the right way that can bring us both together. And that's why I always say this, and I'm not looking to paramilitaries and that to come together and unite. I'm asking the ODCs, the ordinary decent citizens, but we'll forget about that word citizens because we're all man and woman. The ordinary decent people of this province, this great province of Ulster, would you like to call it, whichever you prefer, it doesn't bother me. Northern Ireland, but I'm not in any way associate myself with a united European Ireland. It can't happen. It would be. Where will it go? Figure it out if that comes. The amount of people having a clue what's going on the protest, keep it in the media, raising awareness to the people of the incoming danger. Yeah, 100%. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and not let on that I don't know we're being invaded because of call for what it is. We are being invaded. These people are crossing many safe countries that aren't war torn, and that should be their first point of refuge. What I think's happening, I think there's actually an organisation, probably funded by Soros or some kind of NGO set up over in Calais, where they're actually teaching these fighting age males English. Probably also advising them, how to go about things when they come here. And what amazes me is the media keeps telling us that there's thousands coming over in the boats. We only see an image every week at most of people coming in boats. Where's the citizen journalists? Should you not be sitting down at Dover and just recording all of this? Set up a live stream down where they're bringing all these fuckers in and just record them all coming in. I bet you'll get some hassle by the police then, It's a shout out to all these auditors over there near Dover. Get down to Dover. call any names. Get down to Dover, having a pop, show the world on a live stream what's going on. That's what I think should be happening. Where's their access points? Where are they coming from? It's the only solution against this two-party system, because it's now quite clear that you can even see the DEP are partying, pondering down to Sinn Féin. You know, I believe we need strong men. Strong men create better leadership. Yeah, there should be strong men in the first and second seats up in Stormont. That's my personal opinion. Keep getting arrested when they go to Dover. Getting arrested for what? Now, they've every right to breathe recreational air whilst exercising out in public. An English channel 13 at least, or a St. George's channel 13. That's another one that pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. It's actually St. George's channel. Or no, I ain't talking about the wrong one. I'm talking about the one between Ireland and England. I'm a bit confused there. Is that cartouche? Most in the hotels come via plane from England or up from Dublin. Yeah, well, I was talking to somebody earlier on, Bill Shaftian. I was talking to somebody earlier on about, how the solicitors all down in the Republic were getting, I think, some were saying $3 to $4 grand for every asylum case they were putting in, and they were sending them taxis up the north, and who was paying for the taxis? You get it. Yeah, your taxes. Yeah, see, listen, people have been saying it to me for years, but I've always said over the years, you can't beat them by joining them. I believe the only way to beat this de facto government, what we call it, de facto government, looks like a government, acts like a government, it's just not a government. Yes, I've had that said to me over the years, but sure, you've got Tony Mallon running there. Tony Mallon wants your votes. Bill, brother, how are you? You don't need to go to Dover. Go to Belfast International Airport. Coming in with no passport ID, send them to 10 Square. You're right there. Solas. No candle. I will look and tell you. Made a bears upon at some point, I don't know. Solas. Has that something to do with climate change? Solar. Craig Houston, is that Craig Houston? But Massing about Craig Houston there as well. He's a good man. He talks about the rights and stuff too. I think he done an interview with Graham Moore. I'm talking about the rights, folks, and he's one of the one I hang about the Bill of Rights, stuff like that. They're constitutional. We'll call them constitutional rights, because most of us hear it all the time. The Americans do, the American auditors, when they walk around, they will plead the fifth. That's the right to remain silent, isn't it? Yeah, they're just using their constitutional rights. It's what we need to sort of get back to, on the ideology of, we as a people use our rights to create our society. No harm, injury, or loss. That's the foundation of every society that sets up. What they've done is they've subverted us away from our constitution and put us into a secondary legislation system, which is the 8 million X statutes and legislations. They call them secondary legislation because it can't supersede our Bill of Rights. Nothing can supersede our Bill of Rights. All they can do is subvert us away, which they've done from the 70s, to our Bill of Rights. That's what they've done. And they have just let us down. I mean, personally, the guy that was talking about the constitutional expert is a guy called Graham Moore. He's on YouTube under the Constitution Party. And it's the Constitution Party. You'll find him on YouTube. I actually watch his videos every night. It's a bit brain fried. Graham Moore is his name. I clocked on to Graham Moore probably about 6-7 years ago. That's the video where he stood up in court and had a debate with a judge and put the judge in his place and done it as the straw man. And this is where I'm trying to come from now, folks. Many of you know me during COVID. I would have been all anti-legislation, anti-X. Everything is a presumption of law. Why a presumption of law? Because they just presume that everybody's just going to believe it and everybody's going to be subservient to their rules. But for me, any laws that are being made should only be laws that are beneficial to the people. If they want to create these legislations that want to fine you for dropping a bit of paper on the street, no, that's not law. That's just extortion. These corporations want to start putting parking tickets on your car as a penalty charge noticeable. Who has signed for that? Is anybody willing to sign in wet ink on these things to basically take liability for making demands of forfeitures and monies of use before conviction? And give me a second, dog needs out here. Absolutely. Yeah. If you know, you know. It's not a crime to commit a criminal offence. That's right. We actually had that chat earlier on, or last night was it? We were talking about that, but it's not a crime to commit a criminal offence. Well, you know, what is a criminal offence? A criminal offence is a victimless crime. You know, and if it says you're standing, you're obstructing traffic on the road, and you could be committing an offence, you're not actually breaking the law. You're just offending somebody. Criminal offence. It's not actually criminal as in an offence way. They just like the audit and put the criminal in front of it. But then again, when you go into court and you committed a criminal offence, well, who's the victim? Is this a criminal or civil matter? You know, understand the difference between criminal and civil. Am I looking in out of Ireland? No chance, Lily. No chance. No chance, mate. Listen, I'm born and reared in Ulster, Northern Ireland, you know, and I wanted to stay that way. And why would anybody want to be part of the EU? Like, why would anybody want to be part of a place that votes for presidents? You know, they don't even have presidents in their own political society. Presidents as in a good setup or a good plan or a good manifesto. None of them. They're all criminals. They're all fucking criminals, and they're all acting in false representation. How do you make the sense from the legs of Lisburn requires all these protests, etc. Strange. John Boda made a hiccup in their first protest. Give me a second. Close the door here. Yeah. Yeah. No. I need to get in there. Where John Boda? Anyone? What do you make of the sales from the next? Yes, Lisburn. What happened in Lisburn? From what I remember, recollect, 2.5 months ago, whatever it was, they tried to set up and have their first protest up in Lisburn. And from what I'm led to believe is once they got together, the bunch, they actually walked up to, may have been a hostel or a B&B of some kind that was housing foreign fighting age males. And something sort of created a bit of a stir. But what I was also informed of where they started and gathered in Lisburn for the protest was, I think, literally just across the street from Emma Pengelly's office in the DUP. But again, late at night, nothing's in the office. If you're going to go to the offices, it has to be done during the day, and you stage a protest peacefully outside. You don't shout, you don't slobber, because that creates a kind of verbal harassment or a verbal offence. Get yourself in trouble. If people pay car tax, then why should people pay to park or pay a toll? Well, I don't know. You could ask the delivery drivers in McDonald's that one because they don't pay tax. They don't even MOT their cars. Did I answer your question, Jumbo? As to why it's so quiet in Lisbon? You've seen mirrors on Sandy Road being built during lockdown. The amount of them illegals that went into their pay day scary right beside the school. Well, I was actually down. I was down in the Rangers down Sandy Road today, and give a big shout out. Maybe watch maybe not Lewis Cracker on his win, becoming the champion. can't remember what belt, the ABF heavyweight was it? Yeah, big shout out. I've seen his fight over the weekend there, and it shows that there is still some good fight in some of our youngsters here in Northern Ireland, some passion, because that's what our people need now, passion. So have the Lisburn ones just give up? Do you know? Well, they haven't give up. There are ones that do message me and talk to me and keep asking the same question you're asking. But the problem you have up there, it's sort of pretty tied in. I would say probably most of the ones that go to LFD protest at the City Hall all live in Lisburn. Probably. Hello, Craig, and thank you for the shout out. Thank you. 100%, Craig, it's our only way forward. Everything has to be done lawfully. If we start stepping outside the confines of the law, then we're all going to end up in jail. So after Lisburn, good point. Lisburn take the case. Most of them take the case, don't they? Well, here's a funny thing. Who cares? And that's a good name, because who cares? Because it seems like nobody cares. Well, I actually do care. And a lot of people talk about, the boys here, the radar, and they've all took the coin, and their money's going to come to a stop. You believe, you me. Because if the ordinary, decent people out protesting peacefully aren't doing the damage, but they're going to have to create it some other way. So what happens when they stop all the boys' money? Let's see. Let's just see. You heard it here first. The money's getting stopped. Joyful voices in Trafalgar Square. Tommy Robinson rally sparks fun. Rally cheers and police cheers. Donkey balls. Cytoplasm. YouTubes. You've got Sargay, man. You want to come in and go on like a 12, just block me. I don't know what you meant by that. Joyful voices. Are you talking about the ones that were singing? Or the speakers? Rosicrucian. I know what you mean, who cares? Rosicrucian. Or the worshippers of Renfrew. The Star of Renfrew. Yeah, Moloch. You get a protest planned up there and see if you can get them going. Well, if I got enough people talking to me and I got the right location, yeah, it's good to go. I had no issues there, mate. I'm all happy to get people started so they can go off and do their own thing. Once the hotel contracts run out, people need to remember and never use these places again. Yeah, Bill Shafty, and that's a good point, but what we'll have to remember here too is they need investigated. Regardless of their change of use plan permission that they're supposed to have to be housing the migrants, did they go around the community? Where was the consultations that they're supposed to have of the community? Listen, we're going to put in 140 dangerous fighting age males here that's coming from countries that rape children and mutilate fucking private parts of women. Is okay with that? Of course, the people's going to say no. So this is why they don't ask the people. Consultation? I think you need to be asking your local representatives about that consultation. Where's the risk assessment? Where's the inquiries into, do these people have ID? Are they here with a passport? They're not going to show out their soldiers, are they? And here's another wee thing for you folks. See the videos, pictures. We're getting the people that are filming their children in the park, stalking their women. If we're getting any images, pictures of any of these, run them through, what is it, like a wee photo identity? It's one of those wee apps you can get that you run a picture through and it tells you if it's a reverse image, one of those apps for reversing images. If you can use one of them, get a picture, put it in, see if it brings up anything. I watched the video where last week where they had a picture of a boy. No problem, Quincy. Watching the video last week where a boy, what he had done, he had took this picture of a man. It was getting a wee bit of a verbal about a truck that he had parked, which shouldn't have been parked, but it was a farm man. He told him, the farm man told, obviously, the Irishman to clear off. The Englishman, I think, was actually in England. This man took the image, put it through reverse imagery, and it brought up these images of the man, older pictures of your man's face when he was dressed in an army uniform. So I don't know, how legit it was, but it's something that everybody else can try. As I always say, you see something, say something. Just be careful who you're saying it to. Shit carries fast. Lost it. Thomas said it's murder rage and run through the MOT. Yeah, well, sort of want to address the McDonald's drivers, the delivery drivers, Deliveroo. I think one of the points of that head on with these drivers, Deliveroo drivers, Just Eat drivers, Uber Eats, and all that there. What they're actually doing is they have a certain cost. They can get a license to go out doing deliveries. Okay, let's say it costs them, for example, 40 quid for a week. They have this license and go out doing deliveries, but they do that with their identification. So it is known on the system who it is that's doing that there. But is it even that person really that's on that? Is it a real name, real dates of birth, and all that? But what these people do is can just get their license out to the illegals, and then the illegals can go out on their scooters and do all these deliveries while staying at a hotel, have a free phone, getting free food to get there on £400 to £500 a week. That was the claims was being made. Even the mainstream media's come out and says that, so I'm not pushing lies. What's going on here? Ulster in the town on Saturday with the sun. Only a few old headers this week banging pots and pans outside game. That's in the town. Seen that there. I actually did walk past them later on. Where's their friends? Where's the rest? I actually felt like it was in my head to go and do a wee video over and sort of question them on their knowledge on the Middle East conflict, how long it's been going on for, what river did the sea are talking about. But I just thought, no, it's not me. Actually, don't mind me asking, since you mentioned COVID, what should one do now if they have had the vaccine, but since that they have woke up, is it too late? Nah. There are protocols there for detoxing. You basically just need to go on and make your detox, or certain things. You need to consume things that's going to break up these metals that's inside you, because they're inorganic to the body, and that's why they're causing, let's say, a bit of a conflict in the body. So when you have all your good blood cells that are fighting against this fucking nanobot that's floating about inside you, a bit of graphite, the body has to use energy to fight that, so it's your body's a constant fight. It's like you have to get put on medication for the rest of your life, but the medication again is just adding to the toxic effects in the body that the body has to fight against. So what you want to do is go on a clear detox. You can start with some salts, some real salts, wee grain under the tongue 3 times a day, swear it around the mouth. Thank you, Bob. Sunlight. Well, again, want to talk about sunlight. Sunlight is one of the great healers of all times, in a sense. And, solar radiation management. What is solar radiation management? Well, it's SRM. It's the method of blocking out the sun's rays to cool the planet. But in turn, what they're actually doing is creating everything below the clouds in the oven, and they have that. But yeah, sunlight, plenty of sunlight. Best time for healing in the sun is the month of June, building up to the summer solstice, when the sun is coming to its peak of healing. That's esoteric stuff, not really stuff many is probably research. Now, what's the call passed about an undertaker in England? Well, that undertaker's been banging on about it for the last 4 years. Fucking bravo to him. Can't remember his name, but yeah, he came out, said about it straight away. Is it police matter, not council? It's not for me. He's talking. Having a hospital bed next to the window, you will leave sooner. Fresh air as well. You need the fresh air. Remember, fresh air, sunlight, socks, shoes off, bit of grounding, bit of earthing. Connect to Mother Earth. Mother Earth is the greatest healer of all. You have every herb and seed-bearing plant as your medicine. You know what, Thomas, you're actually right there. If anyone remembers back when COVID came out, they talked about the nicotine receptor that's in the brain. Anybody that smokes were less likely to catch COVID. But there are more revelations coming along to that now, especially when it comes to gut problems and things like that. Stick a nicotine patch on. Nicotine patches are good for detoxing, in a sense. So yeah, I've been looking a bit into that there. Then benzidol, otherwise known as midazolam, in pure form, and get nicotine patches, and that's not insane. Unfortunately, it's a a chimeric substance in the genome of the DNA. That's right, Bill. That's right. I think Vin Benzidol was it started coming out over in the USA. They were talking about it because it's something that the American footballers would have used uh, to help themselves. So, what's the easiest way to get rid of the vaccines if you can ever? But again, it's a point of a detox. You need to break down these wee particulates inside. You could start off with buying yourself a water distiller. A water distiller, you get one for 90 to 100 quid. What it does, it distills your water and gives you 100% pure water. What's also out there is information that it leaches minerals from the body. But what it actually does, it leaches inorganic minerals from the body. And what you do is you can inject your intent. You can put your own kind of salts or whatever into your water to activate it again, because they call it dead water. But it's pure water. It just takes everything out of it. I've been using water distiller for the last 9-10 years. Even my two wee ones, have a 2.5-year-old and a 12-week-old, both of them, as soon as they go into a bottle, boom, onto pure water with their formula, obviously. Both were breastfed too. Nicotine showed it destroyed nanotech and dental medicines. Well, dental medicines, I mean, if you remember looking at, there was a Spanish dentist had taken one of the anesthetics and used a magnet, and sort of you could see that there was graphene in there. Listen, you have a tooth missing. I don't fucking trust them. Trust any of the medical industry now. But yeah, cartouche, look into that there, nicotine patches for healing the gut. The body is a wonderful thing. You just need to feed it the right fuel. You need to put the right substances into it to let it do its job. And you also need to go within and pray to Heavenly Father. You need to ask for the help. I pass the spike proteins. What the spike proteins do is go in and basically devour and kill your cell. What you need to do is revitalize the cell, and as Bob Skywatts said up above, sunlight is the best thing for revitalizing your cells. Now, I'm not giving any medical advice, but cannabis oil. Cannabis oil puts the body into a state of apophysis. Well, basically what that means is the cell starts self-destructing and it only leaves the good ones. That's why anybody that does use the likes of chemotherapy and stuff, I would advocate for at least not using THC. Anyway. Police did weird things during COVID to encourage people to stay indoors. Yeah, they bullied them and threatened them with false regulations. All they were doing was, all they could do was give advice. It's in their oath. Their oath, they do solemnly swear they uphold and tell the truth, and to remain partial and to carry out the duties of constable and fairness. Once they step outside those boundaries, I mean, I could have had them by the balls during the COVID days, but when I got out of jail, they locked me up for a COVID breach. Forgot my address, I forgot my date of birth, and I had no fixed abode, so they locked me up for 12 days until I remembered an address that I could live at. I sat in McGabbery for 12 days. It was only in 4 days, and there was a protest held at McGabbery. Madness. There should be a protest held in McGabbery for Pinky too. So any of you in Pinky said I'd had this organised, I'd had this going on. You'd have been up there tonight at McGabbery protesting, but you're able to run things yourselves. So that's a tip to use. Get a protest organised and take it up to fucking McGabbery, where Pinky is. Seeing they're not going to let him out. But yeah, John Bo, listen, go deep, go within. Is there anything else can take for reviving cells, or basically it's only a matter of time? No, there's plenty of stuff you can do. You can ask the Most High to help you. You can pray. And I don't mean that as in a bad kind of way. Pray, help you. Why do you think all these Muslims are praying 5 times a day? They're doing it to mark their territory. They're praying that fucking Allah takes over province of Ulster. Remember Nolan during that time trying to convince docs and N.I. to treat vaccinated first or non-vax. He wanted us all around yellow stars. Listen, it's like we can't save everybody. You can't save them all. I mean, I was the first one coming out doing videos and all telling people not to take the fucking vaccine. Again, not giving a fuck about authorities. I was willing to put my face out there and tell people not to take the vaccine. There's videos of me doing the corn market in 2020. And I shouldn't have to keep explaining myself to people that say that I'm only jumping on the bandwagon here. Then it was COVID, now it's this, what's next? Whatever the government fucking throws at us next, that's what it is. That's what my agenda is. Anything this government throws at us, I ain't calling it out. And I ain't getting used to come on side and join my side and go fucking strong at it. Every news outlet reporting, I know it's madness, mate, but here's the thing. Ulster, what you could do is what I'd say is this would obviously a landscaper measure ground and stuff like that. What you could do is if you can get the image of everywhere that was covered with men and women patriots all around London, what you do is if you can go onto Google Map, it will be a bit of work, but you need to work out the radius of every area that the stood in, every street, that bridge. And then what you do is many yards, just accumulate it into yards, and if it comes up 3 million yards, then there's 3 million people there. If there's up 2 million yards, there's 2 million people there, you know what I mean? There's easier ways to think things out, but unfortunately, everybody's caught away in the tech world and not able to use the brain, because when you watch the television, it's programming a vision into you. What you're actually doing is stopping the brain from working. You're stopping the brain from working, and that's all the television's devised for, to stop you thinking for yourself. So 2020, to put us all into martial law, locked everybody up, stuck everybody in front of the TV. COVID. Programmed you all, made you all believe, they showed you all these cartoons of these wee fucking cells with wee fucking Shrek's ears popping out all around them, and called it a virus. And I was like, it's a dangerous thing, it's a fucking cartoon. Running out of breath trying to get all that out there. It was a cartoon, folks. Simple as that. Jumbo, listen, it's not over. You're still here talking now. I think what I could say to you is be still, be calm, be still. Isolate yourself at times in a forest, wherever it may be. Put yourself into a meditative form of state and just connect with nature. Connect with nature. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Just ask for God's help. All right, not trying to do that shit. Don't want that here. Fuck, listen to it. I hope I'm wrong, but I see things coming and days are running about grabbing us off the streets and white vans and force vaccinating us. I don't want to say too much about that. Call me a fearmonger. I'm objectively balanced and on the ball. Bitter almonds, raw nuts, apricot, cherry, and peach. Yeah, well, nuts contain most of the iron. Out of all the things, when people want iron, it's best to go on the raw nuts. It's basically just a raw protein. The best thing for your carbs. And the peach kernels, yeah, apricot kernel seeds, yeah. Break them up. I wouldn't try and swallow them in one go. Really wish I had cider, but it's listen, Jumbo, relax. It's all good. It's all good. Don't be panicking worrying about it. People clapping on their doorsteps for the NHS 5 p.m, 6 p.m, was it? Yeah. It was madness, mate, it was. I couldn't actually believe it. Eat out to help out. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah, 2 weeks became 2 years, cartouche, didn't it? Yep, the woods, that's where nature is. Go and listen to the trees, as Margaret's saying there, Jumbo. Three million people. He's saying that was the estimation of the crowds at the United Kingdom. Doesn't it? Was great show. Can I do that here? Belfast, Northern Ireland? Yeah, I believe I can. I just need to get all yous on the same page and wavelength as me. Get this government to get all these illegals out the frig. Get them out. Sleeper cells, anyone on the watch list, get them out. Anyone's broke the law, get them out. I don't give a fuck. They don't belong here. We have enough of our own criminals, enough of our own drug dealers, enough of our own fucking sexual predators. We don't need theirs. Here we Theoretical test in the water as to how compliant we'd all be, more to come. I can't know that there was a group of people mixed from Northern Ireland and South Ireland. What they actually done was they tested the water 20 years ago. I had the link on my Facebook there. They actually tested the water and come up with all these different contaminants and particles that probably nucleated if they come out of these high bypass turbojet fan engines. Great chemtrails, you know. I was a big mouthful there. I'm surprised they come out in one go. And where are we at? For anyone that didn't take the vaccine, fair play, standing against them in such hard times. There was quite a lot of people done it. Listen, they used a big fear tactic. They just fear. When somebody's in a fearful position, they're more likely to be compliant, like me. Well, it wasn't really a fearful decision. I just believed the lie when they had me in Musgrave Street. They wanted to take a DNA test. So I told them they're have to go and use force. I ended up just letting them do it anyway. It's the only way to get the country back. Send them home. Us as a people unfortunately can't do that, but we need to start some kind of mechanism that's going to force the government to do that there, because they're obviously not intending on doing it. It's down to us, folks. Friends was talking about chemtrails 20 years. That's right. Singing about it. Not even talk about purple rain. Dancing nurses during COVID too. Yep. All brainwashed. And here's the thing. When people talking about all these doctors and engineers that are coming here, and let's say different professional positions of work and jobs that all their trades or skills might have on them. Hospitals. Plenty in the hospitals. Why is that? Well, during the COVID, a lot of our nurses and doctors who were a bit wiser decided not to take it, and they lost their jobs. And the same would have happened in most industries, like engineering factories. Not taking it, you're out. You know, nobody even knows that only 50% of professional footballers in the English Premiership took it. Matt Letizia came out with that stat, actually. Inside information. I think I just went off track. I forgot what I was talking about. But anyway, I'm going to get myself a wee cup of tea here, folks, and have myself a wee nightcap. And that is all go. I don't really intend ever coming in to do too long videos because the brain gets a bit fried. What's up, Bill? Guess who was born October 14th? George Floyd was born 14th of October 1993. And 14th of October 1993, so was Charlie Kirk. Coincidental? I don't believe in coincidence. Yeah, so one started one and this one will start the next one, I guess, Bill. What you're pointing out there. So he was born 20 years later. Yeah, Charlie Kirk was born 20 years later, but on the same day, 14th of October. Well, I'm 4th of October. And 10 days off. Melo's a cracker, isn't it? I was actually laughing. Listen, we should all know. We all have that in us. We all have that capability. No, that cartoon thought it was funny. He says, "Look at you, you're wearing a high job in America." who are you? You say they gave you a COVID job in cop shop? No, it was in Musgrave Street when they lifted me a couple of weeks ago, mate. Had me on camera sticking post. Apparently, it's alleged that I caused criminal damage to a bus stop by putting flyers on them. That caused, can you see? What had happened when I was in the first night in Musgrave Street, they had told me I had to give a DNA swab. And he says, "You're going to use force?" He says, "Yes." I says, "Right, go and get them. The boys, man, and get the big boys in." So he left it away. I was sleeping. It's about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. He woke me up. He says, "I such and such a section in pace, blah, blah, blah." I sort of told him to shove it up his whole day. But I was tired anyway. And listen, if nothing to head, just take a fucking DNA, shove it up your hole for all I care. Nothing to do with that. So no, I've never took a job, Neil. I was actually talking about them in 2019 to make sure. 2020, I was telling people at Corn Market that they're going to bring out this vaccine in 2021 and it's going to alter your DNA. I told everybody else at Corn Market, man. Listen, my last two youngsters and all haven't been touched. The MSN's down because of people like Stevie. I'm not a citizen journalist, Lady J, and I am not a citizen journalist. Never claimed to be a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I'm just a disgruntled one. You know, for years, that's why the page and I call it disgruntled one. This YouTube channel that I'm using now is 11 years old. And when I started it out, it was called the Belfast Observer Skywatch. So there was lots of these pages were running about Skywatch. So what I done is jumped into a Skywatch community from all around the world and called myself Belfast Observer Skywatch, where I observed clouds, diagrammed triangles, flying saucers and clouds and stuff. You know, a lot of people call it pareidolia. What happened was actually people would have ridiculed me for drawing triangles, diagrams, and clouds and stuff. Now your head's away, you're mad. Uh, all I was doing was just trying to diagram what I seen, and nobody was even aware of what a TR3B was back then. These triangular craft that hovered and worked off an ionization centrifuge. Big words, stay with me. So what it is, it's like a central disk in this triangle that harnesses and creates this energy. Kind of like what did they use in the Back to the Future car? Alright, that thing, flux capacitor. Let's just call it a flux capacitor this week. Fucking, one of those things. Now, people always want to say, your head's very fucking craft and all in the clouds, but these same people would have been at the beach and their child would have said, look, mommy, look, daddy, there's an elephant in the clouds. And it was like, hey, cute. And Stevie Baker's running about saying there's fucking flying saucers and them clouds. I ain't telling you, your head's away, man. You fucking lost the plot, you. Talking about chemtrails 12 years ago. And it was just like, oh, his head's away. Mainstream media comes out last year and says, yeah, we're spraying the fuck out of you. No, you aren't. Yous are lying. Get a bit worked up when I talk about that shit. It was a tough decade, folks, believe you me, even trying to tell people about the New World Order, the Bilderbergs, the Council of Foreign Relations, the European Union, fucking, you know, the 5 countries that actually started up, Germany being one of the main founders of the European Union. There's a lot of stuff. But yeah, it was, let's just say it was pretty traumatizing over the years. You know, your friends calling you a nut job, and now what have I got? It's not my friends. My friends are actually on my side. And they got all these nut jobs, just want to try and bad mouth me or give me a bad character. You can shove it up your holes. Shove it up your holes. She's want to mention my name all over Facebook. Doesn't bother me. That's right, cause I tell the truth and well, my truth. My whole truth and nothing but my truth. This is all I can do, folks. You know, I can make claims that things are being alleged or it is said or, you know, those kind of things. You know, but when I talk, I'm talking my truth. Last time I was in court 2020, I said that too. I swear to tell my truth, my whole truth, and nothing but my truth. I was asked a question what the difference was between my truth and the truth, to which I replied, well, I was there. Were you? First hand knowledge. Flux capacitor, I mean, that was the one. So that's what I was talking about. These like we ionization discs. I'm just getting a couple of messages there. Let's get back to the future. Yeah, the Atlas stuff is quite interesting. George Orwell, 1984. Thank you for bringing that up, Lady J, because it was actually, I had that in my head. I was going to talk about that and what 1984 and actually the Fabian Society. And you always talk about who's pulling the strings, who's doing this, who's doing that there. And it says he's breaking into too much detail. Basically, what we have is a bunch of fuck, I don't know, idiots. You know, it's like people, they're not all there anyway. Let's just put it that way. It started up in 1884, Lady J, the Fabian Society, and what George Orwell talking about in his book, and I think I could rightly say that George Orwell was a bit of a lefty, and I think he was basically telling us what was coming here. 1984 is just a wee bit of a code for us to decipher and One string leads to another. You go back to 1884, we have this society. It started called the Fabian Society. At the start, we're on a bulletproof vest here. Basically, it's a bunch of people that pull the strings. We could talk about again the Illuminatis, the Bilderbergs, the Ossinis of the world, these rich, powerful Rothschild families, but society, brotherhoods, the not so public society. Everybody would say the Freemasons were a secret society. Nah, everybody knows who the Freemasons are. And they're not all bad, but we have what is known as the Fabian Society. Started in 1884, sort of, let's say, came out of the Canadian realm, sort of Trudeau kind of style leadership, kind of silly people running things. Symbol is an illustration of a wolf in sheep's clothing. There you go, what's there, man? You got it. That's the one. The wolf in sheep's clothing. Here's the thing, folks. I mean, people say to me, listen, if people's going to do this, and there's no point, leave them to it. But, when I sort of run over some parables, one of Jesus's parables where he's the shepherd of his sheep, obviously, and one of his sheep goes missing, and he leaves the 99 sheep to go searching for that one sheep. And I think it's John 10:27. It states quite clearly that my sheep will hear my voice. You're not going to hear that voice about in the ruach or that ether all around you. That voice is in here, folks. That wee antenna we all have in the center there is everything you eat with all the sugars in it decalcifies. Sugar's the most toxic substance anyone can take in. Yeah, World Economic Forum. I was saying earlier, cause if you have a search for Jerry Adams in the WEF, and it comes up 1969. Yeah. Big year for Northern Ireland, wasn't it? Check out what judges are involved with the Fabians. All of them, by any chance? My dad held one of the highest positions in the Masonic. My great granddad was well up in the Masonic lodge as well and stuff. And this is what we'll have to sort of listen. There's good and bad in all walks of life. It's like you go to Israel. There's good and bad. There's Sephardic Jews. There's Ashkenazi Jews. The Sephardics, the Ashkenazis are. It's the same in Palestine. You actually have good, innocent people in Palestine. And then you have Hamas, the government that's tenfold, 100-fold worse than our government. They actually execute their own people because they don't fucking vote for them or support them. Pretty similar to what happened here back in the Troubles, wasn't it? Aye. Yeah, the wolf in sheep's clothing. We've always addressed I've always addressed the politicians as this wolves in sheep's clothing. They're dressed up, they look the part, they talk the talk, but what they're actually doing is talking legalese language, which is the worst thing about legalese language is words can be used universally with their own discretion of what definition they want to use in that word. But if they're using a word and that word has 3 different meanings, well, it could be. You could sort of look at that. Let's say to send you a letter, you could look at that as malicious communication. Maybe the BBC are doing malicious communication day in, day out to send that letter. We're going to call your door. Call my door, you're getting a fucking punch in the head, man. Everybody should start replying to that there. I mean, they made the threat first. And you call to my door making demands of forfeitures and monies without any conviction, mate, you're getting slapped. I've actually, videos are I have me chasing away from the door. 10 years ago. I've got videos of me chasing politicians up the street 10 years ago. Yep. Well, again, we'll just jump into the WEF there, cause like you say, the World Economic Forum. What is their connection? Well, their connection is if you know what Davos is, I would like to think most of you in this chat anyway know what's going on. American made. We just took out another cartel boat, boys. Love the sounds you got there. They have drugs on it or people? And somebody just commented there and it missed the comment. And it disappeared. Yes, it ain't well put. That's it. They get chin. 100%. Call your door. If they want to call your door making threats and you have a license, what the fuck's it got to do with you? What's it got to do with you? Why are you even here? Where you go? Bye-bye. Yeah, they were all signed up, all the royals in Davos. So that's what the Davos is the Greek meeting that they have up, isn't it? And then, of course, we had Klaus Schwab. What happened with Klaus Schwab? We were talking about miscommunications, malicious communications just a minute ago. Well, he got caught up in some kind of saga, was it, through emails, sending indecent emails to a youngster. He was up in court for embezzlement, money fraud, fraudulent, or something like that there. But it's sure to do that with people just to get rid of them. Everybody caught on to Klaus Schwab. I can tell you who's running it now. The World Economic Forum, they're all in bed together. The EU, the UN, the WHO, World Health Organization. It's just, they're all different names. So you point a finger that way, that way, that way, that way. What you could look at it now is maybe in reference, maybe it's symbolic to the four corners of the earth: the EU, the UN, the WHO, the WEF. I stepped down. Those allegations were made against them, weren't they? The allegations of the emails. Tell me what's 7 Curtis documents recommended by the protocol. No, mate, I haven't heard of them. Yeah, Charles and Williams. Listen, I think the whole royal family signed up then because of Jerry Adams was in the WEF in 1969. Well, how far does the WEF go to? Yeah, that's what I was saying, because Klaus Schwab was becoming the limelight. People were able to dig out the dirt on him and start investigating. Listen, he had a good run while he was there, didn't he? But he's out now and they've got the next one in. Listen, the WEF are basically, they want control of the whole world. They want to come in. They want to install the smart cities. West Smart City, 15-minute cities, central bank digital currency, facial recognition cameras. They want everything to be under control and under observation. These facial recognition cameras won't just be able to recognize your face. What they will also do is detect your temperature. If you've got a fever, if you're not well, alarms will go off. You will be targeted, pinpointed by your biometric marker, and you'll probably be picked up off the street and stuck in what they will call quarantine. If you're walking about the city centre and you're farting too much, these detectors will come up and they'll just take some credits out of your central bank digital credit system in communist state way. Too much fuel in your car, driving too far? Yeah, you need to be penalised. Like they've got those toll booths set up in London. Margaret, Watson, Max, sorry. These 15-minute cities will only happen if we let them. I mean, look at what Melissa Kwame and co's done down in Uri there due to that city of sanctuary where they want to just impose and make even more of these dangerous fighting age males feel welcome. Not only at the want our school children to start writing letters of support to these people. No. No. Just don't let your kids do it. Listen, the only way we're going to beat the system in that way is everybody just to pull their kids out of school. I mean, that's also recollected these drills that they're doing. I mean, there was a report somewhere over in Wales, not exact location, I don't know, but a school was put into lockdown because some hater was running about with a fucking machete. Now, I read a comment saying that the police were still out looking for this person, but everything was opened up again. Everything was okay. But what the school had says was it wasn't their position, it wasn't their job to notify the parents. It was the police's job to notify the parents that there was somebody running around the school with a machete around that area in the local vicinity. So yeah. But there's that third point that I want to get to is these drills have been happening in every school. Not every school, but the majority of most of the schools, bolstering up, double locking the doors, shutters on doors, double locks on gates, and they're all being made electronic and digitalized, and so they could probably be controlled from one control room. All by design, cause exactly. So when these have these systems set up in our schools and our youngsters understand the drills that there might be a possible terror attack, but what the state like to do is say that there may be a wild dog running about outside. So we want to have all these securities put in place to protect your children. Two scenarios I'm going to go to, two scenarios, and some of you that know me and are on my social media talked about the scenario of a jihad being called and all these jihadis going straight for our youngsters, our children, and that maybe they're bolstering up the schools, securitizing them for those reasons. I mean, America's no strangers to the school shootings, sure they're not. I mean, how did they stop shootings at banks? Put the police on the doors. How did they stop shootings in most schools? They put the police on the doors. And that's all coming here too, folks. Everything's going to be securitized by BlackRock, Vanguard. And these are the biggest securitized organizations on the earth. I think because there's on Larry Einstein or something, can't remember his name, but yeah, those are big major corporate. I mean, G4S, which is part of Vanguard, I think they're actually operating a lot of the receptions in the police stations now. The Antrim one for sure. The Antrim barracks are definitely G4S up there. Bob, don't have me saying that. We're actually talking to me last night, right? I know completely avoided the whole fucking invasion thing that's been going on, haven't I? And this tyrannical government, and just keep fucking bringing in these freeloaders. Muppets. Politicians are Muppets. I was having a conversation with a good friend last night, Bob there. You'll see, Bob Skywatts. As it says, I used to be Belfast Observer Skywatts. We were a wee time talking about all this stuff over 10 years ago, trying to bring the light to the darkness in this world, but the people just shut their eyes and closed their ears. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, and all that there. But yeah, we're actually taking this. You'll see the comment they put in there. We're sitting talking about, I was just thinking in my head, because sometimes I'm getting, not that I'm getting carried away, sometimes I still swear and that myself. It's just saying I'm not really impressed with myself. I'm sitting looking at my face here and swearing here and there. But when making videos, I was thinking of how can I sort of blank out the swear words. So, like I said, we're thinking about making a video and how I could have something. In a video, when someone's doing a video, it's not live, it's just pre-recorded video, and they're talking away, and sometimes they'll make a mistake, so they can cut and edit and chop it. They'll say a swear word, but the swear word's in the middle of a sentence, so they can't really chop out that one swear word. So what they'll do is put a bleep over it. So once I start getting into making videos and doing video edits and stuff here, my swear words are going to be covered up with a durka. There you go. Just for a wee bit of joke and carry on in the videos. I was thinking about Team America. You remember that movie came out, Team America, and they're all running about giving it the durka, shika, all that there. Oh, honestly. So some of my videos are going to come along, you're going to hear the swear word just gets cut out, and you're going to hear durka. It's not dangerous, is it? It's not a hurdy word, is it? The word doesn't exist. An estimated something. We'll just call them darkas. Our hotels full of darkas, mate. We need to sort that out. Get them out. Get who out? The darkas. Aye. You keep bringing them in. Keep bringing who in? The darkas, mate. You stupid. Come on. No. Aye, yeah. Team America. Team America. Oh dear. If I find out my kids are doing drills or letters, I take them out of it. What would happen? You've still got the right to home educate, Stuart. What you need to do is just get your house set up with the kind of curriculum set up that educates the kids. It's that, that's all it is. But what they're actually trying to do, I think it was when this new children's well-being welfare legislation that they were trying to bring into place. I think there might have been a section in that there where they were trying to take away your right to homeschool because they know what's coming. Again, as it says about the jihadi attack on the schools and how they're going. Presumptions. Let's all work off presumptions here. What if these bunch of durkas entered our schools and started durking our youngsters? Or another scenario we could look at, what if there was some kind of pulse wave set out and our children were in school and this pulse wave was full of electromagnetic radiation and was able to put high frequency waves that could affect certain particles in our youngsters' bodies. Cut a long story short, if 3 children in a school get sick, they're going to put that school into lockdown so you, the parents, can't get in. And they're going to quarantine them. I don't know which one's worse, to be honest with you. The darker one, or that one. It'd be fun there, is the chimney corner all new fancy out the front. Yes, mate, I don't know if it's trying to keep, I don't know what way it's working. I'm trying to keep the protesters out, because we are going to go back to that chimney corner. We're not done with the chimney corner. They can put whatever fucking fences up they want, but that's probably to keep the auditors out, because I know some of people's been wrong. It'll be a half company. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're putting that fence up to keep the auditors, the protesters out there, to keep the darkers in. And just for clarification, if there's any barsters or anything Peters watching this here, the darker is referring to fighting age dangerous meals only, illegals only. Yeah. It's a holding centre base, yeah. Tarbeside skills seems to be a thing. Yeah, well, I mean, those monopole cell towers aren't supposed to be, I think it's within 400 yards of a school. I think if you go and have a wee search or a wee search online, I'm not going to keep saying Google. If you have a wee Google search or online for, there was a school in America where they installed, in the close proximity of the school, these two monopoles, or cell towers as most people know them as, and in weeks 4 children come down with cancer in that school. Cell towers pulled down, but your uncle, you know. A holding centre. Which one's a holding centre, Bob, bro? I'm lost in the comments here. Did he try to sue BlackRock? Now he's broke. I know, and they revealed all his fucking lube, didn't they? Stormer squaring with Trump's him this week. Isn't Stormer squirms in front of all screens? I don't know why I can just stand bare-faced lies. Me, I'm just an honest bloke. You know, I just stick to honesty. It's the only way to live life, folks. You know, if you want to start creating a life of lies, you have to live by them. And it's very detrimental to your own psychological structure. What's the point of fencing us? Sure. One went on the lawn. They were always outside. That's it. Cause exactly. Nobody went in. No, 100%. Well, who's the victim? Cartouche. They hurt somebody's feelings, but maybe you shouldn't be on my channel. It really concerns me, the extra power given to teachers to keep kids in. Now, who's giving them that power? Then we're going on, right? Well, who's giving you the power to do this here? To say, well, Education Authority. Well, could you bring Mr. Education Authority in here to speak to me? I got some concerns about that. You know, should always be going for the individual. The same with the police, false arrest and getting on like twats because they're wearing that clown outfit. You know, most of them are decent, regular people, and I don't deny that there, but you do get the odd one that is what we'll call a company boy. You know, wants to hit all his quotas. There. Hi. Team America. Team America. He's supposed to eat that. Concerns me is the extra part. Yeah, well, Margaret, I mean, you are, let's say, the power of attorney for your youngsters. And I know the whole birth register, registering the birth certificate creates the persona or the fictional straw man. But do you honestly believe that someone else has the power of attorney or power over your children? You can only control that which you create. That's a maximum law, actually. That's a God-given right. You know, you create those youngsters. Only you have the power of attorney or authority over them. And anybody that wants to claim otherwise, easy to prove them wrong. Just ask them to show the evidence that they have power of attorney. If they bring that bit of paper out and say you signed on it, well, you were coerced fraudulently to sign that. They didn't tell you the full ins and outs and terms and conditions of that contract with that birth certificate. What they expect is for your youngster to grow up and come of age, and then it's like if I go and pull them about mine, they say, you know, that's not my signature on that birth certificate. It's my mum and dad's. I'm a big boy now, big and ugly enough to make my own decisions in life, so do away with it. But Listen, we also need a system of governance, folks. We need a structured system of governance that works for all of us. You know, I'm going to say all of us. I mean all of us, even the legal immigrants that have came here and worked here for years, created a life, have children, and all that. There, and like, you know, that exists wholeheartedly. That does exist, and that's a fact. But now, this last 5 years, like I say, 21 to 23, our population in Northern Ireland increased 15% because they brought 300 migrants here and just there you go. Maybe that's what they fill the hotels with. Don't sing the AIDS song out of tune. Well, there was controversy about that one, wasn't it? To be honest, it wasn't really funny. Yeah, there's more of that over in America. There, man. If you look at the likes of Miami beaches and stuff, there's like big palm trees standing up. It looks like a palm tree, but it's not. It's bad way over there. Like, I would say most of the ones along the beachfront would probably be used to help pulsate and try and maybe interact with hurricanes, maybe. Any fear for the children. What a shit show. It is a shit show, man. It's a shit show. In regards to fearing for the children, I don't fear for the children because I know there's enough of us that are going to stand up, both Protestant and Catholic, all Christians are, but Christians also are going to come to the light here. It is going to come to the point where we'll have no choice. They're going to leave us no choice for us to come together. It's going to happen whether they like it or not. And I'm not talking about the United Ireland under no corporate sort of Ireland. Or, you know, it's time the people stood up and done what needs to be done. Context in that comment, Paul. And you can't even homeschool kids without permission. Permission from the PSNI, says who? Right, a PSN. That's nothing to do with a PSNI. It's a civil matter. The police don't get involved with civil matters, and if they do, they're perjuring their oath, Lady J. They perjure their oath and they do a personal injury claim. They're not to step outside their code of conduct. They're not allowed to use force. Any force used by a constable that is swearing affirmation to protect the people fairly and equally. Anyone that steps outside their code of conduct will be held personally liable. I'm looking to say it here in the comments as I'm talking. They are to be held personally liable in their own individual capacity and not as a PSNI agent. That's CJ video of the cops and drawing the station and playing. Let it go. Frozen. I'm not too sure, but I seen one of his posts he put up on YouTube a couple of days ago, thinking of the police coming at him with guns. Well, that's outside of their code of conduct. If they want to come at you with their guns and you have not committed a crime nor in the process of committing any crime, well, that's an act of terrorism. They want to use their gun, draw their gun on you with just being a peaceful auditor. That's an act of terrorism that should be treated as such. That mean individual. And I know CJ likes to get numbers on badges, and this is why, you know, when they don't show you that warrant card, why don't they not show you that warrant card? Because that gives you their individual identification, so you can go for them in their own individual capacity. And if they want to carry out orders and make demands of a people using their authority to do so, well, I think it's all the them to prove that they have the authority to do so. The boy got kicked in the leg. I don't know that one. Don't think that's true. Which one, Mary? I don't know. See, this is a problem coming in comments. I actually think it's set for every 60 seconds to try and give me a chance, but they're still coming in thick and fast. This was when he was in London. No, that is as in Carrick. That was done years ago. England, Scotland, Wales, you can't homeschool. You can homeschool here in Northern Ireland too. I know loads of people homeschool. Loads of people homeschool here in Northern Ireland. There's actually a YouTube page, I think, called Homeschooling Northern Ireland. And he's wanting information. There's actually the old bro there, Bob Skywatch. He homeschools his 2 kids too. Now 13 on the 11. Yeah. Perfectly feasible here. Perfectly all right. When you take your kids out of school, who loses money? Who loses funding? Maybe that's a way to get the schools to kick their asses into gear. And eyes are starting to go here. I have been removing my kids also if these drills come over. You want to remove your kids also to start teaching them about fucking Jihadi Muhammad. Yep. 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 Give our children their futures back. Take them out of the indoctrination camps and give them some real education. Teach them some philosophy. Teach them the law. Teach them their rights. Teach them about God. Oh, Jesus. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. Classroom assistants will do all the hard work. Yep. Don't remember any rules being said about stopping homeschooling. No. But they did try and put it in that new legislation, Mary, that they're going to bring. We were talking about it there, I think, 4 months ago in Westminster about the well-being of children. Right. There's nearly 2 hours we're going, folks. Nearly 2 hours. How did you put up on me? How did you look at my ugly mug? As Freedom Dad likes to say. They need to go. Jesus Christ is King. Christ is King. That's the one. Go in. You need to go in. He who goes in is within and not without. I agree, space get that. It's mad, isn't it? It's all over the place at times, but I like to stay focused. You know, it's been done over the years. It's took a long time to rewire my brain, and folks, now, I mean, I can go back as far as 5 years ago. I had my mind in a state of condition where I didn't believe anything, and that's why probably just sort of helped me when COVID first came out. It was just, they're full of shit. They're full of shit. I don't believe anything that comes out of politicians' mouths. Don't anything bleeding coming from the government. The who? Who's the who? You know, these were all things that just made me go, no, not happening. My mum handed me a cup of tea out the kitchen window and wouldn't let me in the house. I lost it up. That was me. That was like stuff is. If I'm going to have to go to war, I'm going to war here in Northern Ireland against a tyrannical government. I believe that that's, you know, a lot more people are catching on and understanding. Yep. Listen, anybody that's watching this video will stay on the YouTube anyway, so you can share it on, pass it on. Some stuff talked about, some stuff just grazed over. You know, there's a lot of stuff that should maybe start focusing on one subject, one topic. And basically, because I've just started going live again here, I'm just trying to give you a bit of an insight to me and what keeps me ticking, the things I go on about. Yeah, it's just who I am, folks. It's just who I am. Just trying to show you. Because I know there's a lot of slander going on out there. There's a lot of bitching, bickering, backstabbing, and I'm not getting involved with it, folks. There's no point. I have bigger aims on my mind. Bigger targets. Thank you, Ian. Hey, folks. Everyone is on the journey to wake up on what really has been going on from that day. Well, cause when people are ready to wake up, they're going to wake up. And like it says about the Jesus parable, I'm the kind of man that will go after that one sheep, because I know that sheep will hear thy voice. Just collar them in there, get them back into the herd. That's what I'm going for. That's how I'm doing it. I'm going forward, folks. You have every right to peaceful protest. Do not let any of these intimidating factors of the government make you believe you're not. Okay? I put my face in front of all these peaceful protests. Remember, peaceful. That's how it works. Peaceful, lawful dissent, or practical, lawful dissent. That's where we're going, folks. Stick with me. Big plans coming up ahead. I'll announce them soon enough, and maybe see as tomorrow night the 10 o'clock curfew starts, maybe not. Speak soon. Take it easy. That's it. We all need to mature here. This is a mature war, folks. This is no time for childish behavior. We all need to be grown adults here. going forward, because we're up against powers and principalities, folks. We're not up against flesh and blood. No point thinking we're going to go beating things up and destroying things. This isn't how it works. We are the people. Good night. And God bless every single one of you. I mean that.